Welcome to the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the show, leave a comment, and click that like button. Welcome back to another edition of the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. This is the marvelous one, back at it again with Don and Philosophikal. What's good, fellas?
What's going on?
How you feeling, Don? You good?
Yeah. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Well,
no more free talk.
No more free talk. Well, we plan to talk about, start the show with talking about, four new teams to make the playoffs. I was watching an episode of ESPN, and basically they said for the past 33 years, at least four new teams have made the playoffs. So that means four teams that made the playoffs the previous season don't make the playoffs. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But speaking of ESPN, we got to address what's going on at ESPN with the layoffs, right? What Disney is doing. And, we've been having a lot of debate about that. So let's talk about it on the show. I know Don got some strong opinions about this. So, what's your thoughts, Don? I mean, let us know what you think.
I'll let you go ahead and lay the surface about everything that happened and the demographics behind it. I yield my time back to you, Mark.
We're in Congress now. Well, let's talk about it. So basically, Disney has planned to do layoffs, right? So this is not a shocker. I know a lot of people out there are shocked by this, but Disney said back in February, they said this to the stockholders, that they're going to reduce their workforce by 7,000 jobs and a part of a bigger effort to reorganize and to cut $5.5 billion in costs. And through that, they separated their company into three different divisions, right? So you got the entertainment and media division, you got ESPN and ESPN Plus, and of course you got the amusement parks and products. So they divided things up, and they cut in all three of those divisions, right? So it's not just ESPN. We're just starting to hear about the ESPN personalities, but the last wave, you didn't hear about the off-camera people that lost their jobs, and nobody was upset about that. But now when you see Steve Young and Jeff Van Gundy and Jalen Rose, everybody's up in uproar now because they lost their jobs, but nobody's worried about the little man. So I know, Don, yeah, you feel strongly about this. You feel like this is a big change to the sports media world, with the loss of ESPN and what's happening. Me, I think this is business, right? The media market is changing. Streaming is changing. The way people consume their sports news is changing. Podcasts like this is where people are going now to get their sports news and to talk about sports, right? To discuss it, right? You can't really do that on ESPN when you watch it on cable, right? You can't post a response to that. Or maybe you can do that on ESPN podcast, but not on the ESPN cable. And who the hell out there still has cable, right? We're all doing streaming live TV or something like that. Nobody really has cable. I just recently cut the cord with DirecTV. Well, mainly because they got rid of the NFL Sunday ticket, so I had no use for them. But it's just the reality of it. So cable is changing, right? The way people consume TV is changing, right? They don't need cable anymore. And so cable's losing subscribers. So I think it's just business.
Well, I agree with that, but I'm going to bring it into a different perspective, right? This is the thing. Let's talk about ESPN just for a few minutes. Who is ESPN? A sports network. ESPN has been around since the 80s, right? Their whole formula has to bring certain people onto their platform. They brand them, they teach them, they brand them as this sports person, right? And they put you behind the TV. Because ESPN, yes, as their personality, right? Because ESPN at the time, the 80s, the 90s, the sports centers, the different shows and stuff like that, they had the people, right? They had the brand. Everybody was watching ESPN Sports Center, right? So now let's fast forward to 2023. We'll even back it up to 2018, right? Disney buys ABC, which means they buy ESPN, right? So we'll even say 4 years ago, right? So this is the thing. During that time, ESPN has been dropping in subscriptions, has been dropping in viewership. And even today in 2023, YouTube has taken over. You have so many content creators, including us, right?
Yep.
Where people can go watch a condensed, shortened version of the news, highlights, and whatever's going on within sports media, right?
And comment on it.
And comment on it. And engage with people. Even tweet to some of the NFL, NBA players about it, right? So there's in-person, on social media. So this is the thing, right? If you notice some of the firings, the layoffs that they let go, those people didn't have a huge following. They did not have a huge following.
Nope.
For a time, ESPN was hiring previous NFL players to bring the experience of how it was playing on the field to broadcasting, right? But the thing is, they don't have a following, right? You see what Fox is doing; they're hiring Tom Brady, right? You got to go out there and spend money. So the cuts ESPN has made, right? And now look what they're pivoting to. Pat McAfee has a following, huge following, right? He was a freaking punter in the NFL, right? But look at his background. Look at his background, right? Huge podcast,
right.
Commentating for the WWE, right?
Yep.
Matches to the WWE. Everybody is on he's not necessarily saying anything revolutionary or any type of sports takes. He's having fun. He's being able to do him. It has brought him a certain audience. And what does that do? That brings viewership. ESPN, and I said this to
I was just going to say, let me just add that he's got Aaron Rodgers on there making announcements.
And Aaron Rodgers came on there and his show hit 55 million views. Right? So him and Aaron Rodgers are best friends. So my point is, the only person on ESPN that has a huge following is Stephen A. Smith. Yep. That is it, right? When Fox has Colin, they got Tom Brady now, right? They got the halftime show going on. They got so many things going on over there. It's bringing viewership. Now ESPN is gonna go up against and go get Shannon Sharp. I said this earlier, which was a good idea. ESPN needs to go out and poach some of these YouTube content creators and bring them on as personalities.
Yep.
And this is what they're doing.
Yep.
So this has nothing to do with, Jalen Rose, not saying no one cares. Jeff Van Gundy's of the world, Jalen Rose, Max Kellerman. If you notice also, this is my last point, Keyshawn Johnson of the world, they were switching them on other shows to try to bring viewership to them.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Yeah. So they don't have a real big social media presence. You look at those people that you just mentioned, they're not really big on social media. So I think that's what hurt them as far as personalities.
But I think what really hurt ESPN is they haven't really solidified SportsCenter back, right? SportsCenter is just no one even cares about it anymore. No ESPN radio, no one cares about it anymore.
But I think they do. I think people still do care about it. It's just the way they're consuming it. If DirecTV, Comcast, and all these different companies are losing subscribers, ESPN was the most expensive channel you had with your cable TV subscription. Yep. It costs like $20-something, $25 for your cable subscription. Your cable bill was $120. $25 of that was ESPN, and they were the most expensive. And so they're losing tons of money. Now check this out. They're losing tons of money because the cable companies are losing subscribers. Now that affects ESPN's ability to get Monday Night Football because they need the money to pay the NFL for something that's going up in cost while they're losing revenue. This is why they had to make those cuts.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah.
What? hey, let me go to save this show right now, okay? A lot of good points brung there, but we always want to talk about what we see. I'm gonna talk about what we don't see or what we don't say. The thing about it is that y'all are making very good points. However, you fail to answer. I think you failed to tell the whole story. And I always say, if you tell me half the truth, you told me a lie. Walt Disney was way in over their head. So they're trying to make up for years of being in a hole. What y'all saying is the tip of the iceberg, but That's not where it really started. So let's go ahead and see where the scorched earth actually started. It started for Walt Disney during the pandemic. And just like I said earlier, they get too listen. That's the reason why they're trying to create quick revenue and get quick and easy wins. The layoff of people that they did at Walt Disney, that's not going to put a dent in the revenue stream that they have lost over the years. No, it's not. Because here's the thing, it still didn't answer the question. Because here is the crutch of the matter. As much as streaming, they're losing money. They lose. That's it. Their big ticket item is the amusement park. And I stay that and I stand by because this brings in 2/3 of their revenue every year. And ever since 2019, they've been averaging at least 5 billion a year in losses. The part that's really shocking to them is that they were using that money as seed money for other type of ventures, which they did with the streaming. So and now they don't have the seed money to make moves that they want to really make. Yes, I said seed money because you have to have money in order to go into different types of ventures. That's something that you
Yeah, absolutely. They have
on.
to have seed money, but I think that came from the Disney studios. They made
Yes.
tons of money from Marvel and all of the studio stuff. That's why they broke out into media, into streaming.
And they didn't
Yes,
make
but they
these layoffs until 5 years later after buying the other content.
yes, because when you have to listen, when everybody understands COVID took you down.
Oh yeah.
Everybody took a hit during
COVID
COVID.
took everybody down.
So the part that they cannot brief is that now it's not COVID, and now we're out of the COVID, a little bit out of the COVID area, and you're still getting drastically low numbers with no sign of increase in sight.
You talking
And
about it
that,
at the amusement park? They get low
and all
numbers.
listen, yes, and
Are we
also
talking
in
at
the other.
ESPN or amusement park?
Hey, we're talking the amusement park and ESPN. They're
They're two
taking
different
hits.
things, though.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you is that when they cut, I'm not disagreeing with the cut. I'm saying they cut down to the bone. And really, with the ESPN, I don't see a bridging strategy in line. I don't think that they had to do as drastically a cut as they did with the other ones. Only reason they did the drastic cuts is to create quick revenue and to do quick we say a quick strategy that's really not going to work because right now when you emptied out certain podcasts or certain types of what you say non-celebrities as you would like to put it, you created unnecessary voids. And right now you didn't the Pat McAfee right now, he's not plugged in right now. So
They fired more. They laid off. Okay, they laid off about 100 ESPN employees versus they laid off about 6,900 employees within Disney amusement parks, within Disney company and Disney
and how much of a
studios.
dent did that actually cause?
A lot.
It made a lot.
It was already they had to lay off because listen,
They laid
they
off
had
in
to lay off
Disney.
because guess
100
what?
people at
The
ESPN.
people would be showing up with no work to do.
What do you?
They laid them off
They're showing up to entertain a
everybody's
crowd
back
that's not
at the
listen,
parks.
They're showing up to no, they're not. They're showing up to entertain a crowd that's not present.
This is the thing. This is the thing, right? Let's
So
be real.
that's a double negative.
Let me explain
That's
this
a double.
to you.
That's a double. Listen, you're talking money to me.
Let me explain this to you, right? Disney for
Talk money.
For all of our lives have catered to kids, right? The reason why they bought ABC, the reason why they bought Fox, the reason why they owned Hulu, the reason why they owned ESPN is to cater to an older audience so they can survive content-wise. No one in our age demographic are watching Little Mermaid, Lion King, of the old movies back in the 60s and 70s. We're older, right? Disney is catering to buying these content to I'm pretty sure there's a plan to put that type of content within their amusement parks.
Well, and I agree. Right? That's why they got Star Wars and stuff like that to draw people
exactly.
in at the amusement park. And I just want to correct one thing you said. They didn't buy Fox. They bought a lot of licensing back, like Spider-Man and stuff like that. So, but very good points. But I think one point that I think we all agree, we're just saying it different ways. I think streaming, the bigger point here is streaming is losing money. Streaming.
But it's like, I don't
Netflix,
think
Amazon,
streaming
Hulu.
isn't the bulk of Disney's losses. It's not. It's not the bulk of Disney's losses.
Thank you.
No, it's
It's
not.
it's not the bulk of Disney losses.
No.
What I'm saying, it's not the bulk of Disney's losses, but they didn't cut as many people at ESPN. That's my point.
Hear me out. Yeah, no, I got your point. And I agree with your point. No, it's not that streaming, like they're not getting enough subscribers or whatever to support streaming. Is that they're spending so much to create content for streaming is where the money is being lost.
I think that's a different discussion because they cut the money they're spending to create content sucks.
Well, that's just it. You see how much money
they got content. It just doesn't sell. You're right.
No.
It's because of the people that have at ESPN.
No.
Can Jeff Van Gundy make a content show?
Hear me out. Amazon, Netflix, all these companies have their own content creating studios. Even Disney has their own content creating studios. They're spending a boatload of money.
Okay, so what's the difference
content.
between the Amazons and the Netflix when they're spending their money, right? They're hiring the A+ directors. They're hiring the A+ actors. ESPN is spending money trying to bring D+, C- announcers in there.
Right.
Content creators.
But all those people you mentioned are cutting jobs too.
Correct.
Metaverse, they cut jobs. Amazon, all of these media type companies are losing on creating their own content. And this is what's happening throughout, business. This is not a shock.
Okay.
No one should have been shocked that these ESPN personalities lost their jobs because they knew this was coming in February.
We're all saying the same thing. So let's talk about what have you seen from the content or you see
Pat
ESPN
McAfee
doing now? Because right now,
Shannon Sharp.
Listen, is he on right now? Is he
he's
signed right now?
Signed right.
You're talking.
He will be. Yes.
Who McAfee? Okay, listen. You're saying he will be. I don't see the bridging strategy because right now ESPN is taking huge losses because all the voids that they created, the pockets that they created when they moved people out.
What huge losses are they taking?
I think
what huge losses are they talking?
From zero, look at the time slots. Let's talk time slots.
Okay.
So when they compete, they're competing with Fox. Let's not act like they don't have a competitor and they're out there competing with NBC. They're not competing with NBC. They're not competing with TNT. They're competing with Fox.
They got
from 6 to 6.
They got one show.
But let's think about this, right? Fox doesn't have a lot of personalities. They spend a lot of not as much as ESPN.
Yes, they do. They've got better. They don't have as many as ESPN.
That's what I'm talking about.
They got better personalities.
That's what I'm talking about. Quality over quantity. Hear me out.
It's subjective. That's subjective. But
hear me out. They had a lot more personalities than Fox, and Fox seemed to spend the majority of their money on content as far as actual games being played on their channel.
Okay, I agree with that.
They had a lot more. You saw a lot more sports being played on the Fox, whereas they got like 3 main shows on Fox. You got Colin, Speak, and you had the Shannon and
Undisputed.
Yeah,
and then you got the Nick Wright show.
Yeah, and Nick Wright. That's right. Yeah. So you got those.
But that's a Monday through Friday time slot that they are killing ESPN on.
Yeah, and ESPN had a whole bunch of stuff.
Correct.
They were not killing NBA. They're killing them now. They weren't killing it. They weren't
killing.
Oh
no! In the last 4 or 5 years, they've been killing.
They've been killing them. Yes,
they've been killing them. Ever since
from 6 to noon, ESPN has owned the network. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
Since when?
It's been a while, dude.
No, the whole COVID time. They have not lost. Yes.
No. Undisputed has been killing them in the ratings.
Undisputed is competing with what show? See,
First Take. First Take is still number 1.
Thank you.
First Take is still number 1.
Once again.
But that's the only show on ESPN. That's the only show that's killing.
So listen, when we talk about stuff like this, gentlemen, you got to talk time slot. Remember when NBC and CBS used to compete with each other? They didn't compete with personalities and everything. They competed shows against shows. So when I see a time slot and the time slot is empty,
so
you
from 6 to 9,
you leave it.
From 6 to 9, that's ESPN, right? So what about from 9 to 6?
It was
Huh?
all right from 8. You have Get Up. Get Up is actually winning. Get Up was winning that battle, and then it transitioned into Stephen A. It was the layup.
Get Up is on NFL Network.
Well, look, guys, look. we ain't gonna be able to resolve this. We're just gonna have to see what happens. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, right now is what's happened has happened. Those people are gone. Facts. Right? They were laid off. The point I was trying to make is that Disney made this announcement in February. So, you know, the shock of it all to me is like, why are you shocked? Disney told you this in February. They said they were going to cut 7,000 employees. I mean,
not to the bone.
7,000. That's only 3% of their workforce. Their workforce is 220,000. But we're shocked by it all. But I mean, you know, and I don't mean that in a callous way by, you know, saying that, you know, I'm saddened for those folks that lost their job at ESPN and throughout the Disney Corporation, man. That's tough. I mean, there's families out there without jobs.
I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm sad for the people that are doing the shows, but as far as the personalities, those are millionaire problems, as Joe Rich would say.
Hey, man, you're right, but I mean, hey, man, that's somebody that lost their job, man. So you know that's people that don't feel wanted. So that's the only point I'm making there. And we'll see how it works out. We do know ESPN made a ton of cuts. They brought on Pat McAfee. We all expect Shannon Sharpe to show up soon. So we'll see how it all shapes out. And we'll be watching the time slots, Don, to see who comes in.
Those time slots. You know I am.
I would assume they have a plan on who's going to fill those time slots. They're just going to leave it blank.
I would assume that they would have tried to stop the bleeding since 2019, but you know, I pause.
I mean, Don, you old enough to know when TV used to go off at midnight
with the flag. You right.
So I doubt ESPN is going to get to that. Now, Phil, I don't know if Phil's old enough to remember that, but when we were kids, TV went off. It was a certain time period where it went off, and you had the national anthem playing for the rest of the night.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, look, I know you guys are prepared. You ran your numbers. You did your research. So let's get to it, man. Let's go to our 4 new teams that we predict will make the playoffs. Now, with those 4 new teams, that means that's 4 teams that make the playoffs last season that won't make the playoffs this season. So let's do it, man. So, you know, man, let's start with Phil because I don't want to go with my list first because Phil's going to copy it. And then he had some good surprises for us.
You mean Phil got to think? Phil got to think first?
Phil
said he did his research.
Let me look at my notes. You saying the 4 teams that will not make the playoffs next year, right?
Yeah. So who are the 4 teams that won't make the playoffs?
I'm going to start with the NFC.
Okay, let's do it. I already know one.
The Giants.
Huh?
The Giants will not be making the playoffs next year.
Okay.
And the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Right. That one's easy. That's easy. That was easy.
The New York Giants will not be making the playoffs this year. AFC. I'm sorry to say this. This is the second time I've said this now, right? And I'm going with facts, but I know this is going to be a shock reaction, but it has to be said, right?
I know what he's about to say.
The Baltimore Ravens.
I knew he was going to pick on you, man.
I know where you live at.
I knew it.
I know where you live at. I know where you live at.
Baltimore Ravens.
I know where you live at.
Go ahead, man. Finish the
Baltimore Ravens will not make the playoffs this year, right?
You got to tell us why.
I think the Bengals are better than them. I think the Steelers are better than them. And I think the Browns are going to surprise some people this year. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to surprise some people. I've said this last week. I said Lamar Jackson, we're going to see. He's got a new offensive coordinator. OBJ hasn't played in a couple years. He coming off an injury. He's got a brand new rookie over there at wide receiver. Mark Andrews is a year older. I mean, it's just that defense can't carry them all the time. So, and their running game is a little bit suspect to me too. So, you know, and I just don't believe Lamar Jackson's going to be sitting in that pocket like he said he's going to be. Just don't believe it. All right, so that's why the Ravens will not make the playoffs this year, and the Chargers will not make the playoffs next year.
Okay.
So those are my two teams in the AFC.
All right. So who makes the playoffs?
Okay. So who makes the playoffs? I'm gonna start in the NFC again. The Falcons will make the playoffs. I've been on that train with them. So I think the Falcons are gonna win the NFC South. It all depends on Desmond
Wow.
Ritter. I put his coach in the hot seat. Hopefully he listened to this last week. Probably didn't, but I'm giving the Falcons some love, and I think they will make the playoffs.
Wow.
And I think the Rams are going to make the playoffs. I've
The
always
the
liked
Rams,
the Rams are going to make the playoffs next year. The
the
Rams,
Los
Matthew
Angeles
Stafford,
Rams.
Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford's coming back. Sean McVay is not going to miss out the playoffs 2 years in a row. So I think the Rams are going to make the playoffs. In the AFC, right? Me and Marv have had debates about this team. We're gonna see. I think the Jets are gonna make the playoffs. This is gonna be my surprise team. I'm putting a little bit of stock in Aaron Rodgers right now. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. And my second team, I gave this team and I gave this player so much love last year, and he disappointed me to the utmost degree, and it makes me upset. But I'm gonna buy some stock in this. But I think the Broncos are gonna make the playoffs this year. So yeah. Jets and Broncos in the AFC, and then Falcons and Rams in the NFC.
Wow. Okay. Falcons and Rams. That's some pretty bold picks there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The Broncos in the AFC.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. I don't know how I feel
Which
about
means
that.
the Chargers not going to make playoffs, as I said.
Yep.
And I think the Raiders are going to be a dumpster fire.
Okay. And I mean, well, the Raiders didn't make it last season, right?
No.
No. Okay. All right. But you're saying they're just going to be a dumpster fire.
They're going to be a dumpster fire.
And dude, let's not kid ourselves. Picking the Jets is not a bold pick. You said that like that was a really really bold pick.
Well, I think the Jets are under some pressure. Coaches on the hot seat. Aaron Rodgers has got some pressure from the NFL to win. He's got a lot to prove. So I think it is a bold pick. If they don't make playoffs, there's going to be problems in New York.
I don't.
You know how New York media is. You know how New York media is.
I know how it is, but I think Robert Saleh, his job is safe.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, I mean, that's some interesting prediction. I wasn't expecting some of those picks you made, like especially the Rams. Wow, that was really out of left field there.
They just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. What they do last year?
They stuck. Matthew Stafford got hurt. They stuck it up. So
yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
he's got a lot to prove.
Okay. All right. Let's hear from Don, man. What you got, man? I mean, I know you was crunching some numbers there. You were going over your notes. You were showing us your notes.
Yes. It's always about homework, man, and making yourself relevant when you're talking the numbers, man. So let's go ahead and start out with, looking at the odds. And, you had the Chiefs, you had the Bills, you had the Bengals, Chargers, the Ravens, Jaguars, and you had the Dolphins. So that was the whole gist of the offense. The playoffs last year. Teams that I have making it, I have the Jets, but I have the Jets starting off real shaky. And you got to look at the beginning of the schedule because I don't know how much. I mean, technically, yes, you're supposed to be able to win some games. You're the Jets, but they start off with the Bills, Dallas, New England. They start KC. And then they play Denver, Philly, and then the Giants. I mean, come on, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Man, they can go 3 and 4. They can go 3 and 4 starting out. But as the season goes on, you got the Raiders, you got Miami twice, and then all of a sudden you close out with Washington, Cleveland, and New England, and you can salvage the season and go into the playoffs real strong with some momentum. So that's one of the reasons that I picked the Jets as being one of the teams that's actually going to come out there. Now, Miami, they did pretty good, but I have the Broncos, and here's why I had the Broncos. I forget the schedule. It's just one thing, Sean P.
Yep.
It's He eats shit and shit sunshine, man. You know, and if the quarterback listens, they will win. They will win. It's really that simple. Their schedule's not that tough either. I mean, they start out, but they play Las Vegas, Washington, Miami, Chicago, the Jets.
Win,
They got
win, win,
KC.
win.
But then
That's loss.
they go to Green Bay. They come back to
Win.
KC, Buffalo. They can win Buffalo. They can possibly beat Minnesota, depending on
They'll
and
beat Minnesota.
yeah, and Minnesota got to come to them. So it's gonna be air
Yeah.
kind of thin. They got Cleveland, Houston. Man, they can actually round out the season real nice. And I can see them going like, I hate to say it, I can see them going 12-4.
Ooh,
Oh,
You know,
boy.
ooh,
Wow.
real
wow.
strong.
Wow.
12-4.
Yes, because
Wow.
Sean makes that change in the atmosphere.
Wow.
I was with you until you said 12-4.
I don't see the
was-
schedule. I don't see the schedule hurting them like that. I
He
don't.
copied my list.
Here's the teams that's not going to make it. That's in that bracket that I just discussed. I got the Chargers. The Chargers don't. Let's go ahead and face it. They've been going downhill. They they barely skated into, you know, 10-7. That wasn't very impressive. And when they played in the playoffs, it kind of showed in the Jaguars. I think they got one more year of maturity, and I think everybody else improved so drastically that they're going to fall back. And I think this is going, like I said, if you've listened to us talk the week before, that's going to put Pittsburgh underneath of the hot seat because they're not going to make the playoffs. And it's also going to put, the Pats underneath the hot seat because they're not going to make the playoffs either. So let's go ahead and move over to in the NFC. Now, you had Philly, you had San Fran, Minnesota, Cowboys, Giants, the Seahawks, and also you had Tampa Bay, which was a disgrace for them saying that they even made the playoffs. But I digress. I'm looking at them and I'm saying, okay, what teams are actually going to beat? So I'm looking at Detroit, the Detroit Lions. I'm telling you. And guess who feels the same way? Las Vegas. Las Vegas feels the same way about Detroit coming there. I mean, the new additions that they made to the team, I think is going to solidify things. And I think between me and Las Vegas, I think we're going to get this one right. I just I like that. I like their schedule. Early on, it has a balance between tough teams and easy schedules. Whereas though you have time to adjust, and they're not going to take a real big beating near the end. I mean, they got Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota twice, Denver, Chicago. I mean, New Orleans Saints. I mean, come on. I mean, they're going,
Hey,
they're
hey,
going,
hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
they're going to go into the playoffs with a huge momentum. And,
Whoa.
and and the other team that I'm actually looking at that to
Real
make it
sassy.
is the Chicago Bears. And the
Mm.
reason I
Gosh.
picked them, the reason I picked
Oh,
them,
man.
this the time I see Fields putting in that work on the field. They gave that kid some weapons now.
Mm-hmm.
So now I see. I'm just gonna put it out there. The game is different when you have wide receivers that have one good catch radius and
Mm-hmm.
two that can create separation. If you have those two things, they can help a young quarterback with the confidence he needs to let the ball go.
Mm-hmm.
Let the ball go. Don't worry about the interception. My catch radius is there. I have good hands. And not only that, I'm going to create the separation that's going to ensure that between the separation and the catch radius, that's going to mean completions, and the completions with the Yaks, I think it's going to push the defense back. And I think they had a solid running game that's going to show off. And they're going to have to start respecting the play action. So that's one of the reasons that I have the Bears coming out there, and also Detroit. Now, who's not going to make it?
Mm.
I would have said Dallas, but I'm gonna say the Giants. The Giants were a fluke because right now they haven't signed a running back, and the running back was your whole team. They was your offense and defense. Why was he your defense? Because he kept the defense
Kept
off the field,
Yep. Ball control.
kept them fresh, ball control, and he
Yeah.
kept the score manageable where the field goal kicker became relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the things that the
So
Giants
did
did really
Daniel Jones running.
yeah. Hey, he ain't gonna be able to run if he don't have Saquon.
Yeah,
Because
no, I agree.
they was not looking at him. Yeah, everything he got was like, what? He running? you know. But they got
Mhm.
Saquon running now, so I mean, Saquon is not signed yet, and until he's signed, that's gonna be a good question mark. And how soon that he gets there, I think that's gonna be pivotal. And the other team that I'm looking at, you know, I hate to do it, but the Seahawks.
Mhm.
The Seahawks are not gonna make it. I think they have one more year rebuilding to get it done. I think they could have done a little bit more to help out the defense. But right now, I just don't think that they have enough. Offensively, I think they're solid, but defensively, I think they're suspect. And
Mhm.
those are my two picks. Over to you, Marv.
So you got the Seahawks not making it. You have the Giants not making it. So you have the Bucks making the playoffs.
That was a no-brainer. I thought we had to talk about that.
No, I'm just making sure. I didn't. You said only two teams not making the playoffs out of the
I mean,
NFC.
to me, they really didn't make the playoffs. I didn't count that. Did you count that?
I'm just making sure. I'm saying, what?
Hey, listen, hey, listen, I was dead serious. I didn't
okay.
count that.
Okay. No, I'm
I can
just
show you
making
my
sure.
list. I didn't count them.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I felt like that was the easiest one. That was the one that we didn't even have to think about it.
Whoever played, hey, when they played in the playoffs, I considered that a bye week.
No, I'm
didn't
with you.
count them.
I'm with you.
I'm
So
sorry, I didn't
who you
count
got? So who you got making the playoffs out of the NFC South?
So Philly's still strong. San Fran
No.
has showed me
South,
that.
NFC South.
NFC South. That division. If the Bucks don't make it, somebody has to win the division and make the playoffs.
You got Falcons, Bucks, Saints, and Panthers.
New Orleans got a good team. I say that they'll make it.
You got the Saints making the playoffs. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, let me go through my list. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of things I considered here, right? I considered the divisions that the division is playing, each division is playing, right? Because they rotate the divisions, and the whole division plays one division in the AFC, and they play a whole division in the NFC. So that's how the schedule works. And I also considered coaching. Coaching to me matters more than talent on the field. If you got a creative coach that knows how to win and knows how to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, to me, that's the most important thing. If you can't beat the Eagles, no biggie. Beat the Texans. If you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, you will make the playoffs. And that's where your coach comes into play. And there's some coaches out there, they're up and down. One week the team looks fantastic. The next week they play the Texans or they play the Colts and they lose. That to me, that's coaching.
Hey Marv, this is a beautiful setup. Your list better not be trash.
Oh, my list is fantastic. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna start with the teams that I believe will not make the playoffs next year. And here it is. I think the Dolphins will not make the playoffs. And it's not because they're not a good team. It's because I'm concerned about Tua and his health, right? Yeah. That did not look good last season with this dude with the concussions. I think that's going to be a serious issue for them, right? If that dude cannot play the full season, or if those concussion issues keep coming up, his career might be over. So he may not be able to complete a season. And if he can't play, Dolphins don't make the playoffs. So
I thought about the Dolphins.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins' schedule is too tough. They play the NFC East and they play the AFC West. So that means they got the Chargers, they got the Chiefs. Those are the tough teams. And then you got a Sean Payton Broncos that you got to face. Then you have to face the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders. They're tough. But those three teams made the playoffs last season. Not to say that the Dolphins can't beat any of those teams, but imagine going up against those teams week after week and taking those bumps and bruises.
Yeah, they got to play extremely safe.
They got to play a tough schedule. Yeah. So I think it's going to be really hard for more than one team to make the playoffs out of that division. So I don't have the Dolphins making it. The second team that I don't have making it are the Chargers. And that goes back to the schedule they play, right? They got the NFC North, right? And they have the AFC East. I'll tell you why the NFC North is going to be tough when I get to the NFC. But I think that's a
I said it. I'm saying it.
I don't think the Chargers are going to make it. And also because coaching. Brandon Staley. I just don't think he's creative enough and consistent enough to make adjustments to win, to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. That's what you're supposed to do. Look, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care about if you play the Chiefs and whether or not you beat the Chiefs, well, you're not better than the Chiefs. Not only they have a great coach, but they also have a great quarterback. You ain't supposed to win that game. Win the games you're supposed to win. So the teams that I think will make the playoffs, that I predict will make the playoffs, all right, I think this is easy. We all went with the Jets. I think the Jets will make it. I mean, we're talking about a team that was 7-10 last season, right? Had a lot of great young talent. They were missing a quarterback.
Yep.
Right? The fact that they won 7 games is impressive to me.
Yeah.
With Zach Wilson. That's impressive. Zach Wilson, Joe
and
Flacco,
Mike White.
And Mike White.
Yeah.
They won 7 games with those dudes. You put in Aaron Rodgers, and he doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers, MVP Aaron Rodgers. He just needs to be, middle of the ground Aaron Rodgers. Middle of the road Aaron Rodgers is 10 times better than Zach Wilson.
Facts.
So that gets you 9 wins automatically, and that probably gets them in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win more than 10 games, but I think they're going to win just enough to make the playoffs because they got a pretty tough schedule. So I see them making the playoffs. Now, here's my surprise, right? And it's probably going to shock you guys. I got the Steelers making the playoffs. I got the Steelers. Mike Tomlin did a masterful job last season, winning 9 games.
Yep.
The Steelers had no business winning 9 games last season. And then they're in a great situation with a quarterback with a rookie salary, meaning you can build players around him. And I think the Steelers are doing that. They can keep players too.
He had a good last 7 games too.
He had a good last 7 games, and I think that's the biggest problem with Cleveland, right? Cleveland got a very expensive quarterback, and so they didn't make much adjustments going into the season. So here's the kicker.
So you're not looking at the last 3 games. They can lose their last 3 games, man.
They could, but here's the kicker.
They had an amazing draft too.
I got 3 teams coming out of the AFC North. I got the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers making the playoffs, and here's why.
Wow.
They play the NFC West, so they got the Cardinals. They got the Rams, who I think are bad. They're not making the playoffs, Phil.
Bye weeks.
Those are bye weeks for that division.
Okay.
All right. And guess what other division they play? They play the AFC South. So that means they got the Texans, got the Colts, and the Titans. Those are all bye weeks. That's 6 games right there. 6 games right there that they will win. All 3 of those teams. So, and then they'll split games amongst each other.
I've said the Ravens are going to be 3rd place in the division. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
I think if Lamar stays healthy, that's 8 wins right there.
Hey man, I'm just gonna record this and play this every week.
I'm definitely gonna record this. I'm gonna definitely record this.
Phil,
you guys said that you just said the team a couple minutes ago that the Rams not gonna make the playoffs.
Nope.
They have coaching.
Yeah, they have great coaching.
They have coaching.
I don't think Stafford's gonna finish the season.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think Stafford is done. His career is now on the downward slope. I think his career is nearly at the end. He's done. He's been in the league over 10 years.
And he's gonna have to really carry that team, and I don't think he's built to do that.
Exactly. I don't think he's built for it. I don't think he's not anymore. He was great in Detroit. I think he was a great quarterback. Like here's what I talk about when you guys tell me about bad organizations and the organization kept him down or the coach kept him down. That dude won in Detroit. So Detroit is bad.
Let's analyze their schedule, right? We analyze these other teams' schedules. Look at their schedule. Chargers, winnable game. Raiders, winnable game. Broncos, that's a 50-50 game. Seahawks, I think they'll beat the Seahawks for once. 49ers, not a winnable game, right? Bengals, 50-50. They'll beat the Colts, right? That's already what? That's already 4 wins right there. Eagles, I don't think they're winning. They're going to beat the Cardinals twice. Cardinals are going to be the worst team in the league next year. Steelers, no. Cowboys, they might beat the Cowboys. I think they probably will beat the Cowboys.
No.
I think they will. I think they
No.
I think they will beat the Cowboys. Packers, they'll beat the Packers. Seahawks, they'll lose the Seahawks the second time. Like I said, they'll beat the Cardinals twice. They'll beat the Browns. I think.
Will they beat the Browns?
I think they'll beat the Browns. Ravens.
When can I claim back my time here?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. My time?
Come on, man. Off this nonsense. Get your time back, Mom.
I already know. Get your time back, but I'm just saying. You
give me my time back. I will get to that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You will get to that.
Go ahead.
You're going to tell me the schedule. I already know what their schedule is. They ain't
making
the playoffs.
8 games. 8 games. They're winning 8 games.
I doubt it. And that ain't enough to make the playoffs.
Their last 4 games to win games.
So here we go. So I got the Jets and I got the Steelers, who did not make the playoffs last season, making the playoffs this season. And the surprise here is that you got 3 teams coming out of the AFC North, mainly because of who they're playing, the divisions that they're playing. NFC West, AFC South. That. All right?
I still don't think the Steelers going to make it, but more to follow.
Like I said, masterful job to win 9 games with a rookie quarterback. And you know, trying to transition away from Roethlisberger. Masterful job by Mike Tomlin. Got to give the man credit. That's coaching. Beating the teams you're supposed to beat.
I think the teams gave him the games. I think they didn't win them. I think the teams that played them lost them. But
I think you guys copied my list.
No. All right. Here, let me.
No. Yes.
Once we get to the NFC, we definitely didn't copy your list. All right. NFC. All right. So one. Okay. Let's just get it out of the way. The Bucs ain't making the playoffs, right? That's easy. That is easy. I went beyond 2 teams because that one was just too easy. Somebody's got to win that division.
Ain't taking them nowhere.
What's that?
Baker Mayfield ain't taking them nowhere. Baker Mayfield ain't taking them nowhere.
Well, Todd Bowles is not a creative coach either. I don't think Todd Bowles is a great coach. He's on my hot list, my hot seat list anyway. He's just not creative. I don't think defensive coordinators make good coaches. I mean, you got a Bill Belichick who seems to be more creative and more more likely to take risks.
I don't think Belichick's running the plays. Belichick ain't running the plays.
And guess what? And Belichick ain't gonna make a playoff.
No. I think you're missing the point. Belichick doesn't have to call the plays, but he gives the offensive coordinator the leverage. I mean, not the leverage, but the ability to be risky with the plays. They have meetings. And he tells them what he wants to see. So you got coaches like my coach, Dennis Allen, who's risk averse, who wants to play it safe. 4th and 2. Oh no, kick the field goal.
That's what defensive coaches do.
That's what they do. They're usually scary, right? Yeah. Like Sean Payton, 4th and inches. Oh, from our own 5, go for it. You know what I mean? And you will see that out of Bill Belichick at times. He's not your typical defensive coordinator, head coach type guy.
Yeah.
So that I see that out of Todd Bowles. I don't know. I'm a little scared.
He don't have the personnel either. Don't have the players either.
And most defensive coordinators who are head coaches tend to want to set things up for their defense. Oh, just punting and our defense will stop. No.
Yeah.
Sean Payton would have went for it. He would have did a double reverse on 4th and inches on 4th down. He doesn't care. So I forgot where I was. Anyway,
the Bucs
aren't making the playoffs. I'll get to who's going to make the playoffs out of the division. All right. So Bucs won't make it. So I got 3 teams not making it. I got the Cowboys not making it.
Wow.
Ooh, Cowboys Nation. Ooh, I can't wait till they come on the show.
Yeah, they can come on. Do what you got.
Wow.
Do what you got to do. When Mike McCarthy is now your offensive coordinator, who's out of touch on what they're doing nowadays as offense.
I think
that's going to be an issue.
They'll give him the blues in the comment section.
You've got no faith in Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott has got to carry a lot because Elliott is gone.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Right? I can kind of see that now.
And the young running back, he was it an ankle injury or a knee injury?
But the division is terrible, though, Marv. That's the only difference.
Hang on, man. The division, they play the NFC West. Not that good of a division, right? I mean, mainly the 49ers is probably who they got to face. But they play the AFC East. Tough division. Like I said, they're going to be beating up on each other, these 2 divisions. So I don't have the Cowboys.
That good. Their own division's not good.
I disagree with you. I think the division is tough.
Okay. Commanders aren't
so
tough and Giants aren't tough.
whose list is this for, man?
Oh,
This is
go ahead.
my
I'm
list.
sorry.
You know, I would
Go
like
ahead.
to reclaim my time.
Go ahead.
So I got the Cowboys list. I will get to
Wow.
why the Cowboys would
Wow.
not make it. Who's going to replace him? Just give me a second. All right, Cowboys not making it, and Seahawks are not making the playoffs.
That's a little obvious.
I think that's obvious. I don't think that division is all that good. I think the 49ers are going to run away with it because the division is bad and because of the divisions they have to face. They got to face the NFC East, as we mentioned. That's a tough division. And they have to play the AFC North, which I've already told you. I got 3 teams coming out of that division. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for the Seahawks to make it. I think they're going to be good. I mean, you got Pete Carroll. He's a good coach, great coach. He's a great coach. He's creative. He takes risks. They'll win 8-9 games, but I mean, yeah, they're going up against some heavy hitters there. I don't see it. So,
okay.
All right. Here's who I got making the playoffs. I'm with you, Don. I like the Bears. I like the move for DJ Moore.
Thank you.
I like what the Bears are doing. And I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields showed a lot. Even though they lost a lot of games last season, dude put in some work. And, I mean, he was everything for that team. And I think a lot of people are missing out on, is it Darren Mooney? He's more of a slot receiver. And now DJ Moore coming to the team, he's a number 1, and that allows Darren Mooney to move to the slot, which gives him more of an advantage because he's a good receiver, but he was playing like he was the number 1. He's not a number 1 guy. And now you add a number 1 guy with Justin Fields. I see big things out of the Bears.
Defensive coach that does not take risks.
Justin
Fields is a question mark, but I will see because I don't think the Packers are going to be that good.
That offense is going to be better.
I don't think the Packers are going to be good. I don't believe in Love and Jordan Love and Minnesota. I'm sorry,
but hear me out. This is why. That division, your division, plays the NFC South.
Oh yeah,
they got the Bucks. They got the Bucks.
Yeah, they got the Saints. Cakewalks.
Saints. They got the Falcons.
Off week.
Yeah, you got some winnable games there.
Yeah, that's bye weeks right there. They get full.
And you got the AFC West.
Hold on, what week do they play the Saints? Let me look.
I'm not exactly sure, but
Saints always play us tough.
Yeah,
they always play us. They beat us last year too.
So I think that helps your division. So with that, and even Vegas has the Bears winning, I believe it's 7.5 games. Yeah, Bears win total, they predicted 7.5. I think they're going to go over that and win 9. I got the Lions. They're predicted to win 9.5 games. I got the Lions making the playoffs, and surprise, surprise, also got the Vikings making the playoffs. I don't think 3 teams make playoffs. I got 3 teams coming out of this division making the playoffs, and I think your division, your schedule is easy. Outside of the division, and then you play each other, and you're going to lose. You're going to have a lot of splits. So I got 3 teams making it the division. I think like I told you, I think the Cowboys will not make the division, the playoffs. So that opens the door for them.
So what's the other team making the playoffs in the NFC East?
NFC East?
Yeah.
Giants. I like Gable. I like Gable. Wow. I think he's creative. I like what he's done with the Giants defense. I think the Giants defense is really good. And I think the fact that you got Saquon is signing. He can't go anywhere. He'll be back.
With so no weapons to throw the ball to.
Dude, they have talented receivers there. Daniel Jones, if they keep things simple like they did last season, beat the teams you're supposed to be, they'll be in the playoffs. I think the Cowboys are going to fall off.
I think
here's where I disagree with. I think they're gonna press the box a little bit more, and they're gonna force. They're gonna test Jones and see if he can come over the top. They're gonna press the box.
I think so too. I
would press the box, and I don't think that he has the arm nor the accuracy to get up to it. I'm not gonna let Saquon beat me. I'm gonna press the box. I'm gonna press the box.
I agree.
And
I don't think
you
that
gotta
matters.
do one or two things. You gotta get the ball out your hands, or hit me with a double move on the corners. And I don't think that you have the accuracy to get it done.
I think the Giants will do it. But hang on, I still got one more team to pick. right?
wow.
Because somebody out of NFC South got to win the division. Somebody's got to win it.
I
And
know who you about to say. I know who you about to say.
and my heart is saying, Saints got this. Easy. We got Derek Carr, right? We got Alvin Kamara. Mike Thomas is back. You got Taysom Hill playing tight end, which is stupid. But we got Taysom Hill playing tight end. Dumbest thing. Yeah. But when I really start to look at this, and I look at Dennis Allen, and I say, oh, God, no, not a good coach. Doesn't take risk. Makes a lot of dumb decisions. Lost the main guy that makes our defense that made our defense tough. We had one of the best run defenses last season. I mean, over the past 7 years.
Yeah.
We had one of the best run defense. In 2018, right? Ryan Nielsen left. He is now the Falcons defensive coordinator. He joined us in 2017. He put us in the middle of the pack. We were one of the worst run defense. We went to 16. In 2018, we were second. 2019, we were fourth. 2020, fourth. 2021, fourth. And then we fell off last season. Ryan Nielsen is a big, big loss for the Saints. It hurts our defense. And offensively, like I told you before, I know what Derek Carr is. I've seen him. I've seen him for 10 years. It ain't going to change. We know who he is. We know what he does. We've seen him already.
Here we go with the James Winston argument again. Here
we go. Marv,
same thing.
Marv,
here we
you
go.
sound like Phil. You sound like Phil.
No, I don't.
Y'all some ungrateful.
Same thing with Kirk Cousins. Same thing with Kirk Cousins.
You got to put Carr's going to win you games.
Don, if Derek Carr won me 13 games last season, no, I wouldn't be ungrateful. I would be excited. If he didn't want me, if we went 13-3 for the Saints or 13-3 for the Raiders, hell yeah, we'd be excited.
He was on the worst team last year. He was on the worst team in the NFL.
He's been in the league 10 seasons. 10. He had 2 seasons where he won more games than he lost. He had one really good season. I think it was 5-6 years ago. It was great. I would have loved to have gotten that Derek Carr. But not 10, 11 years in the league, Derek Carr. I have concerns. So the team I got winning the division, and we call this show The Voice of Reason, right?
Said this last week. I know it's coming.
My heart is with the Saints, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I hate to say it.
Man,
I hate to say it.
I know what you're going to say.
Disrespectful, Phil.
I hate to say it. I think the Falcons going to win this division.
Man, don't jack up Nick. Don't jack up Nick. No, hey,
I hate to say it.
I disagree.
Thank you.
Here's why.
Here's why. They got an offensive coach. He got to win. Got to win.
Look, what did I tell you? What did I tell you about Mike Tomlin? It was a miracle he won 9 games. He won 9 games with that team, right? Well, you know what? It was a miracle that the Falcons won 7 games with that hot garbage that they had last season.
Man, I'm about to win the prediction year again for the second year.
And here's another thing. They become the Falcons of the Saints. They become the Atlanta Saints. Here's why. Not only they got our defensive line coach who made us one of the top run defenses in the league, Ryan Nielsen. He's the defensive coordinator, but they also poached some of our players. They got David Onyemata at defensive end. They took Cade Ellis, who's a linebacker that's good at rushing the quarterback too. So, and then in the draft, they got Bijan Robinson, running back, to go along with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and then a lot of people forget about who's the receiver that plays running back.
Oh, Patterson. Cordell Patterson.
Who's also a good kick returner. Like, what the hell, man? It's going to surprise a lot of people. And I think they're going to end up winning this division, man.
And the Panthers are going to come in second.
And let's see, now you're getting carried away.
Hey, you might as well finish off the disrespect. Go ahead and finish it, Phil.
No.
I'm about to win. I tell you what.
I'm almost willing to bet that the Saints and the Falcons are going to end with the same record. And the Falcons going to win it because of the division.
I'm going to win the predictions competition for the second year in a row.
Impossible.
Hold on. Second year. You didn't win the first year.
I did win the first year. I did win the first year, and you guys copied my list. I just, woo, you know.
Hey, we gonna start posting the list a little bit early because
Yeah, post it.
I think he be stealing my picks, man,
No,
or using
no.
my analysis, Marv, because Phil does no homework.
No. Because the first thing offline I said was, "Hey, let's not tell our picks." I said that tomorrow. Let's not tell our picks.
Well, that's why I had you go first.
Oh, hey, exactly. So you can. Hey, I'm gonna.
I don't like your list.
That's fine. That's fine. It's the same list as yours.
Well, not quite.
Your list is
we both picked the
trash.
Falcons. We both picked the Falcons. I mean,
Falcons. Well, I picked the Rams. That's my sleeper team of the year, actually.
now that's straight trash.
That's straight trash.
No. No.
Let's go. Let's go. Then.
That's straight trash.
Hey, start the shredder up.
All right, man. I'm gonna get the clown music ready for you because I do not see
okay.
it. Even though I love Sean McVay, but they're lacking.
They got a good coach. They got a good coach. He's creative and he takes risks.
He go running the bio. He's trash.
Those type of coaches survive.
They do. I do see them winning a good amount of games, but I don't see them making the playoffs. It's gonna be too tough. Well, man, look, let's go and wrap this thing up, man. Great jobs, guys. I like the picks that you guys made. They're interesting. Some of them wild and crazy, but that's the point of this show, to make some bold picks and to be the voice of reason. So, look, we do this thing every week. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next week.